Hello and welcome back to the GB Fantasy Football channel. In today's video, we're going to be looking forward to Game Week 21, yet another European double game week. We're going to cover off a few things from Game Week 20, including the highest point scorers, and we are going to be looking at the fixture run as well from Game Week 21 to 26. Now, if you do enjoy today's content, do smash the subscribe button. We are on the road to 1,500. We are racing towards it. That'd be greatly appreciated if you could do it. Just smash it down below. It's completely free. It helps the channel out massively. And without further ado, let's crack on with the content. First up in today's video, we will be looking at the fixture list from game week 21 to 26, a nice 6-game week span to cover across all teams, mainly European ones, but also ones across all competitions as well. First up, we're going to go to Liverpool, currently top of the ticker. Bournemouth away and Karabag at home in game week 21. In game week 22, Newcastle at home, so just a single game week for them in that one. In game week 23, Man City at home and Sunderland away, a very tricky fixture run in that one. Sunderland away, one of the hardest fixtures so far in this campaign. Brighton at home in game week 24 for the FA Cup as well. Game week 25, Forest away, and in game week 26, we are back to the Premier League doubles. So 23 and 26 might be a week to potentially target some of those big chips if you've still got them available. For Man City, they've got Wolves and Galatasaray in game week 21. Another double in game week 22 with Tottenham and Newcastle at home in the Carabao Cup. Liverpool away and Fulham at home in game week 23. So once again, a fixture that maybe we don't want to be targeting. Liverpool away at Anfield, a very tricky tie. And still to be concluded, I believe that is, for the FA Cup. I'm not sure who Man City have actually got, so I have to double check on that one. That might be a tie that has to be rearranged. I think they've got Salford, if I'm not mistaken. So Arsenal, Man United and Karat in game week 21. In game week 22, Leeds away and Chelsea at home in the Carabao Cup. Arsenal did go strong in that competition in the first leg, so I don't fully expect them to go the same again. I think the rotation over the next 2 game weeks will come in that Karat game in the Champions League. Arsenal 3 points clear first going into this week. Inter Milan away. I expect a bit of rotation in that one. Players such as Miles Lewis-Skelly coming in at left back for Ben White. We saw what happened with Ben White last time around when he played too many games after coming back from injury. So I see that one as the rotation risk game, if you would. Sunderland at home and Brentford away in game week 23. So a couple of physical ties in that one. And then Wigan at home in game week 24. Once again, I'd expect mass rotation. Tottenham away in game week 25 and Chelsea at home and Brighton away in game week 26, getting towards the business end of the season. Newcastle, Villa at home and Paris Saint-Germain away, followed by Liverpool away and Man City away, and then followed by Brentford at home and Tottenham away in game week 23. So 4 very tricky away fixtures in the next 3 game weeks for Newcastle. Tottenham away, as we said, in game week 23, then Villa away in game week 24 for the Cup. So across the next 7 fixtures, Villa at home and Brentford at home are the only 2 at St James's Park, with Paris Saint-Germain, Liverpool away, Man City away, Tottenham away, and Aston Villa away, with Man City away in game week 25. I think it'd be hard pushed to find a trickier fixture run across the entire season than that. Yes, Newcastle assets have done us really well, but will any players really score lots of points in that one? We've seen Anthony Gordon basically drop off a cliff performance-wise, so it's definitely something to keep an eye on. For Chelsea, they've got Crystal Palace away and Napoli away in game week 21. West Ham at home and Arsenal away in the Carabao Cup in game week 22. Wolves away and Leeds at home, followed by Hull away in the FA Cup in 23 and 24 respectively. For 25, we've got Burnley at home, so a good single game week for Chelsea in that one. And then Arsenal away and Villa away for Chelsea in game week 26, so a very tricky double. Players for Chelsea we'll speak about in a little while with regards to my early transfer thoughts. Their fixtures are good up until, I'd say, game week 24. Sorry, game week 26. Past that, they turn a little bit. For Aston Villa, only a single game week this week. No, sorry. Aston Villa have a double. Newcastle away and Red Star Belgrade, I believe that is, in the Europa League for game week 21. Brentford at home in game week 22. Bournemouth away and Brighton at home in game week 23. And Newcastle at home in the Cup for 24. So once again, you'd assume Villa go pretty strong. It's not the worst set of fixtures. Bournemouth away, they've been quite prone to conceding a lot of goals this season. Leeds at home in 25 also offers another good single in that game week. And Wolves away and Chelsea at home in 26. So Villa assets could be really good up to game week 26 and onwards. might be ones to potentially start investing in going forward. Tottenham, Burnley at home and Eintracht Frankfurt. Sorry, Burnley away and Eintracht Frankfurt away in game week 21. Man City at home in game week 22, so just a single. Man United away and Newcastle at home in game week 23. No cup game in 24 as they did lose to Villa, I believe it was, in the previous round. Arsenal at home in game week 25. North London derby always brings up tricky aspects to it. Then Fulham away and Crystal Palace at home in 26. Who will be in charge of Tottenham at that time? We still don't know. It looks like Thomas Frank is on the verge of potentially being sacked as Tottenham manager. Will they bring a caretaker in, such as Michael Carrick has done at Manchester United, or will they think more long term and get a manager in that could potentially take them through the next couple of years? Who that would be, I don't know. Someone like a Thomas Frank is not fitted in there very well at all since coming from Brentford. Do they go back to Ange? Do they go back to the Ange ball? I'm not too sure. And finally, for European teams over the next few game weeks, we've got Nottingham Forest, Brentford away and Ferencvaros, I believe it is, at home. Crystal Palace at home in game week 22. Leeds away and Wolves at home in game week 23. Wolves' defensive data over the past few game weeks, they're second best in the league currently, only to Arsenal. So, yes, it is Wolves at home, but they're not the Wolves of the first 20-odd games for this season. Sorry, 15 to 20 games this season, where they only had 2 points or so. This Wolves side slowly starting to get better under Rob Edwards. No game in game week 24. Of course, they did get knocked out to Macclesfield, but that isn't necessarily true. They do have, we believe, a Europa Conference League playoff tie. Now, last season, I think it was for the Champions League, Manchester City played Real Madrid in that one, and it didn't get added to Sun Dream Team. Now, it's been added to the fixture list. These graphics today are from not only fpl.co.uk, fantastic website, do go check them out. This needs to be double checked. I'm not sure if these fixtures get added to Sun Dream Team. Currently, they are playing, I've had to write it down here, HSK Zrinski Mostor in the Bosnian Herzegovina League. They are currently second. And going into game week 25, their double would be Wolves at home and them at home as well. So they are currently added to the fixture ticker list, but I will need more clarification on that to be pushing towards Palace players for game week 23 onwards. Because game week 23, Brighton away, Burnley at home. Probably a very strong side in game week 24 when most teams will be rotating, and then a very nice double in game week 25 as well. Could be a nice entry point for them. And finally, as I said, Nottingham Forest, Brentford at home, Ferencvaros, Crystal Palace, Leeds, Wolves. It's just really good across the board for Forest and Palace. Palace not necessarily the next few game weeks, but over game week 21 and game week 22, we probably do want to be still looking at those Carabao Cup sides. 3 double game weeks across the next across the next 3 game weeks. This is a lot of talking and a lot of rambling, my apologies. Man City, Arsenal, Newcastle, Chelsea are the only teams to have doubles across the next 4 game weeks spanning from 21 to 24. There'll be lots of rotation, not necessarily players playing in every one, but we potentially want to give ourselves the best chance possible. So for me, across the board, I think that might be the way forward. Leave a comment down below on what fixtures out of these you want to be targeting for the next 21 to 26 game weeks going forward. That was a very rambly first section. My apologies for that. The fixtures are all across the board. It's just very difficult. The Palace one has really thrown me. As I said, I'm not sure if they do have that Conference League playoff. They do have it, but whether it gets added to Sun Dream Team is still a whole different thing altogether. Now, next up, we will be covering the biggest point scorers for game week 20 so far. As you can see, it's been a very poor week across the board. Patrick Dorgu is topping the charts, not by just a little bit, by a massive amount. Second position, Florian Wirtz with 12 points. Patrick Dorgu with 17 points at home to Manchester City. Got the clean sheet, got the goal, picked up some bonus points along the way, and tackle points, I believe. But when you look in this top echelons of player scoring for this week, you can see why our team's total points are really far down. Florian Wirtz with a 12-pointer. Somerville with an 11-pointer. Bruno Fernandes, 11-pointer once again. Where was they over Christmas time, Bruno, when I needed you? You had to go and pick up that injury away to Aston Villa. Ampadu and James Justin with 11 points as well. Yeremy Pino, another one for my goal boost that didn't show up. 11-pointer for him. Really well taken goal in that one. Tucked it in the far corner. Bit of a flick. Chipped the guy on the line. Sanchez of Chelsea was a debatable starter for this one after his poor performance in the Carabao Cup. Straight back in, 0.3 drop in price, but got 10 points, and that's what he's been doing plenty this season. Brian Brobby with a 10-pointer. Brian and Burmo, another one straight back into the Man United side after the African Cup of Nations with a 10-pointer. Enzo Lafitte, 10-pointer. Lewis Hall, a fantastic asset so far this season, 10-pointer in a game. Picked up a clean sheet, some bonus points as well. Nemecha of Leeds, 9 points. João Pedro, is he back on the menu now as an option? Lots of rotation in that Chelsea side. Cole Palmer not necessarily looking the best fitness-wise. Liam Delap picking up a flu, we believe it was. He still came on in this one. So does that mean Enzo gets pushed forward with Andre Santos and Caicedo behind him? Does that mean João Pedro solely plays up front? There's still a lot of unknown in that Chelsea side. Fiorentino, 9 points for Burnley. Cole Palmer, we just spoke about him. Got the penalty in this one. Still doesn't look quite right, unfortunately. And for that reason, might put a few of us off putting him in our teams. Mukiele with a 9-pointer. Jose Sarr, of all players, Wolves goalkeeper with a 9-pointer. Marcus Edwards with a 9-pointer. And Declan Rice also picking up 9 points in a 0-0 draw away to Nottingham Forest. But this list, heavily dominated by Leeds players, by Wolves players, by Burnley players, Sunderland players, West Ham players even appearing. There's not a lot of big hitters on here. I think at the start of the season when we was building our teams, the only player that probably would have been in our teams that scored points this week is Bruno Fernandes. And with him not having any European competition, he's not even been on the menu as much this season. So I think Lewis Hall is probably the only one, or at least the highest owned asset currently on this list. Points are really hard to come by. There's lots of 0-0 draws. Teams are very well set up defensively. Now, maybe that's an excuse for why my goal bonus got absolutely no points several game weeks back, but the league this season looks a lot stronger defensively. Those promoted sides, your Ipswich from last season, your Southamptons, of course, when they went to the big teams away from home, they're set up deep. They conceded 4, 5, 6 goals normally. It was big scoring games. This season, not the case. If Leeds are going to an away fixture, or Burnley are going to an away fixture, or more specifically Sunderland, you're not expecting 5-6-0 wins. You'll be looking to get away with the 3 points. And for that reason, I think there is a bit of points disparity compared to last campaign. Leave a comment down below, and if you would like to see a video sometime this week with regards to stats and data and how things are lining up from last season to this season, that might aid us with our selection choices. Currently, for me on this list, only, I think it was Lewis Hall in my team. Leave a comment down below, and if you've got any of these wonderful players. Moving on to how my team is currently doing in game week 20. I'm on 40 points for the game week, so a very low scoring score so far. Dropping in rank from 530th, I believe, to 695th, so still well in the top 1k, but I think across the board, as we will see when we cover the leaderboards in the next couple of slides, it's not been a high scoring game week at all. My transfers in this week was Kuzanov and Vicario in for Henderson and Matheus Cunha of Manchester United. Now, I didn't go for Ekitike, who was the flavour of the week. I think Ekitike ended after the first match with 4 points. Kuzanov picked up 3 points, so haven't lost out massively there. Of course, there is a second game still to come in game week 20, but it does look like Kuzanov will be nailed on to play that game. Covering my team across the board, Vicario at home to West Ham. I thought he might pick up 4 or 5 points, maybe a couple of save points, maybe a bonus point here and there, hoping for a clean sheet. Wasn't meant to be. Tottenham did lose 2-1 in that one. Surprise loss, because yes, Tottenham have been poor at home this season, but West Ham have been poor across the season, no matter whether they're home or away. Lots of pressure now on Thomas Frank. Lewis Hall, 10-pointer. Really good player. I was surprised to see his ownership is still quite low. Picking up bonus points. Not necessarily rotation risk at the minute with the lack of options for Newcastle at the back. Livramento out injured, Fabian Schär out injured. When Dan Burn comes back, might provide more competition, not necessarily for his starting role, but more rotation. Obviously, we know with Lewis Hall, his fitness is not necessarily the best. Gabriel picking up a 7-pointer. How he didn't get more in this game, I will never know. There was 2 separate instances, one where Martinelli missed practically an open goal. Gabriel had to stop himself so he didn't clatter into the back of him, and he would have at least got a shot on target. And there was a second instance in the second half where Mika Moreno got a flick from a cross. Gabriel is stooping behind him to head the ball. Once again, very close to the goal. Moreno flicks it past him, and we know with Gabriel's heading ability, it's more likely to be a goal or not. So 7 points, yes, that does look decent on the board, but that could have been so much more. And that's what we bring Gabriel into our teams for. Not necessarily the clean sheets, but more the attacking threat as well. As I said, Kuzanov got a 3-pointer, conceded 3 in this one. So, sorry, conceded 2. The third one got disallowed. So to come away with a 3-pointer, and more than likely going to start in the week against Bodo Glimt, which is one of the reasons why I did bring him in ahead of next week's double as well. Into midfield, last player in defence, Matheus Nunes. Missed the Man United game with flu, and it looks like he's not going to play the second game either against Bodo Glimt. Had to think for a minute there. He's not travelled with the Man City squad. He has got the flu, we believe so. Playing with 10 men this week, and it is something to learn from at the start of the season. Played a few substitution chips during the early rounds of the Carabao Cup. Yes, they were newly implemented into the game, but I think going into next season, maybe keeping a couple of them back for the back end of the season might be a thing to do. I'd have probably brought in Ekitike because he was the 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. So that would have been an extra 4 points on the board. Still, with that second game, of course, might be a lot more. So Nunes, he won't be playing that second game either. There is hope he will be fit for the Wolves game at the weekend, which does provide an issue for me. With Nunes getting a rest the last 2 games this game week, going into next week, I don't see him being a rotation risk. And Wolves at home, despite their improvement, is probably still a good fixture to keep him in. Phil Foden, we'll get to him after covering the rest of the midfield. Cherki, another one. Saka started on the bench, 33 minutes in this one. Apparently had a small niggle. To me, that was just an excuse for Arteta to keep him on the bench. Don't think he was injured at all. And the rotation with Madueke is slowly becoming an issue. Even in this game, he picked up 7 PPM points, so narrowly missing out on 3 bonus points. Arsenal, in my opinion, should have had a penalty for the handball on Ole Aina. Saka would have stepped up to take it with Gyökeres already off the pitch. So that 3-pointer could have easily once again been 12, 13 points, and then we'd be speaking about him slightly differently. Morgan Rogers had about 20 shots in the Villa game against Everton, all of them landing in the whole end pretty much. 4 points for him, a couple of shots on target. Bruno Guimaraes picking up 5, slowly chugging along with points, and that's what he's done all season. Now coming on to the 3 Man City attacking assets, Cherki, Foden and Haaland. None of them are firing on any cylinders. And if you look across the midfield and attack, I'm currently in a 4-5-1 formation, and there is a reason for that. As I said, if you do want to see it, there will be a data-driven video coming later this week, and I think this might be the way forward. Yes, Thiago's done exceptionally well for Brentford, but he's not going to be on our radar for a little while. Foden started the Manchester derby. He's taken off at half-time after 45 minutes. Very poor performance. There was rumours about him potentially breaking his hand, but he is on the plane to Norway, and I think with Man City's lack of options in midweek, Semenyo's not eligible. We do believe Max Elaine hasn't been registered either, despite his ability to be registered. Their options are thin on the ground. I doubt Roger will play this one as well. We've been playing so many fixtures. Cherki came on at half-time for him. My apologies to all Cherki owners. I had him last week for the FA Cup double, first one in this one. So out of the 3 fixtures he could have potentially played for me, he's been benched for 2 of them. So my apologies already for breaking him. And Haaland, once again, another blank. Marmoush is back in that Man City side, going to Norway for the Champions League fixture. We've heard Pep complaining an awful lot about the amount of minutes that Haaland's playing, despite him playing him against Exeter in the Cup last game week. For some reason, don't know whether it's gut instinct or copium, I feel like Haaland is going to get rested at home to Wolves in game week 21. I don't think Haaland starts both games. He might start one, but I think he will be benched for the other, especially if Man City beat Bodo Glimt, because that will pretty much guarantee him that top 8 position for the Champions League. So across the board, I've got 5 Man City assets. I think midweek will shape a lot of how my transfers go. Cherki, Foden and Haaland, too many attacking assets from Manchester City. Haaland will stay. It's going to be a flip of a coin between Cherki and Foden. Currently, leaning slightly towards Foden leaving more, but since Cherki's come in, he's not really done anything for me. Only an assist in the 10-1 victory. Didn't do anything against Newcastle, coming off the bench, and also came off the bench again. So maybe I'm slightly biased on that front. Mateus Nunes, if I see him in training before the week end against Wolves, he will stay in my team. Kujanov and Nunes providing a double Man City defence against Wolves at home and a Champions League tie as well. So can't ask for more than that. Nunes, we know, has a lot of history against Wolves, so he will want to be back in that. Rico Lewis didn't cover himself in glory either in that Manchester derby. Looked really poor. Both fullbacks did actually. Ake on the other side. So currently, the two flagged players are the most likely to leave. If Nunes is in training, he will stay in my team. Saka also will stay in my team. Inter Milan, I think he'll start. The Manchester United game, he has to start. Arsenal are 7 points clear. There's 16 games left in the league. That is a must-win game. If Man City win their game beforehand against Wolves, they cut the gap to 4 points. And I think Saka and Arsenal as a whole need to get back scoring goals after 2-0 draws. So currently, it will probably be Foden or Cherky out. And then Nunes will also go out if his injury/flu hasn't cleared up before the weekend. If not, it might be a good week to roll a transfer, especially with the FA Cup coming up, the Palace fixtures coming up, where I currently don't have any players from Palace a couple of game weeks down the line. So definitely something to note. I'm happy with the 4-5-1. Leave a comment down below on what your current dilemmas are in your own teams. Who's underperforming, who's outperforming that you hope when you brought them in, and who has been your biggest point scorer of the week so far. To round out today's video, I will indeed be covering the top 10 point scorers so far in Game Week 20 and the top 10 point scorers across the season so far in my own Dream Team League. Code is always down in the description below. It's completely free to join. If you are in the top 10 for either season-wise or week-wise when I make these videos, you will appear in an episode on the channel in the future. Now, first up on Smash are Ramat. I believe that is 76 points. And straight away, 76 points being the highest points total for the game week. Yes, we still do have Brighton, Bournemouth, I believe it is, on Monday night. But I don't think many of us still have their assets. So only 76 points. It's a slow week overall. Burton FC, M. Burton, 75 points. Fitzy, 11. R. Fitzsimmons, 72 points. Yes, indeedy, A. Daniels with 71 points. BGFC, B. Gordon with 70 points in 5th position. Rail Swansea Dad, I think that's T. Thompson or I. Thompson. Once again, eyesight completely knackered, 70 points. Indeedy, we will win FC. M. Logan in 7th position with 70 points. 11-1, 122-1-2. J. Rob Gent, my eyes are knackered. They're absolutely knackered. 68 points. Not on the bench, S. Pemberton with 67 points. And Rivelleno FC with 66. W. Campbell. Really slow scoring game week so far. I think out the bottom 5 teams for the Premier League, they all didn't lose this week. And out the top 5 teams, only one won, I'm tempted to say, maybe Chelsea. So the big hitters have fallen by the wayside, or at least struggled to break down the so-called weaker teams in this league, and that has caused a very low scoring game week so far. And on to the big hitters of the season so far, the top 10 currently in my league, and a lot of these players are within the top 50 in the world overall, so absolutely congratulations to them. Long may it continue. Rappers Elite M. Warner, 52 points for the game week, 2,315 total. Bratsworth FC, C. Hyatt, 2,306 in 2nd position. Bring Back Big and J. Milligan, 2,297 points. Currently the highest scoring team in the top 10 with 65 points, so fair play. Super Imps S. Whiting, 2,272 in 4th. The Dream Team King Nathan Wisby, 2,267th in 5th position. Regulators J. Wadsworth, 2,264 in 6th. 7th, can't get any verse, J. Jones, I believe that is, 2,263. Oxford Blue, S. Shipley, 2,262. Eze Team, Englau Dinning, 2,261. And Risk It for the Biscuit, E-Wade, 2,251. So very high scoring teams across the board. A bit of a gap appearing between 1st and 10th once again. What's that, 15? A lot of points. I think it's 64 points. So leave a comment down below on if you have appeared in the top 10 so far this season. I think currently the points are slowly getting away from me, so I think my time in the top 10 is done. Hopefully a few of you watching this will race up those leaderboards and appear in an episode in the future. There's a few new names on there, and that's not gonna miss. That does indeed conclude the first episode this week on the channel, first video of Game Week 21. Leave a comment down below on, as I said, how your week has gone so far, points wise, and all that good stuff. It's always good to have good conversation down there, and I do reply to pretty much every comment as well. Leave a thumbs up on today's video. 100 is a target, as it is with all Dream Team content on the channel. Smash the subscribe button down below. 1,500 is the big target on the channel. We're racing there. It's completely free to do, and I would be massively greatly appreciated if you could go ahead and do that. Hit the bell notification so you don't miss a video in your sub boxes as well. Sometimes YouTube tends to let a video go AWOL across the board. Also down below in the description, I had to think for a minute there, all my socials, TikTok, Instagram and X, so go check me out over there. Now thank you very much for watching today's episode. Also, as a social experiment before we finish, hit the hype buttons down below as well. It helps the channel out. Not sure what it does. I think it spreads the video to potentially new viewers. More hype points, the more higher up we get in the leaderboard. Bit of an experiment on the channel, so be part of it as well. So thank you very much for watching today's video, and you'll be seeing me in a new one very soon.